And MPs went back at it on the Hill today. Top topic, the abuse of temporary foreign worker program, or the allegations of potential abuse. That was the hot topic. The government has suspended the program for the restaurant industry, and they're investigating reports of employers using the program to hire foreign workers to replace Canadians. But what's next? What changes need to be made to improve the program? Is it time for the Auditor General to launch his own investigation? Lots of questions about how the government can ensure that Canadian jobs are being protected. Let's get into this debate with the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of International Trade, Erin O'Toole, the NDP's Employment and Social Development critic, Ginny Sims, and the Liberal Labour critic, Roger Cusner. Good to see all of you here. Mr. O'Toole, I had Jason Kenney, the Minister on CBC Radio's The House this weekend, and I want to show you what he had to say. I asked him about the cases of the allegations of abuse of the program that have been reported. But he said something very interesting. Here's what he said.
Overall, I would say, since I've been at this ministry, I've been made aware of a few dozen cases of abuse, of alleged abuse of the program rules, which is serious.
Minister Kenney said a few dozen cases of abuse or alleged abuse, yet the Employment and Social Development website, there are only 3 businesses listed as having broken the rule. Can you tell me, if there are dozens of cases, can you give us any details? How widespread, and when did the government know about these?
First, Evan, I always listen to your program on the weekend, so I did hear the interview. The powers of investigation and the ability to inspect employment places using temporary foreign workers came out of changes our government made to the program last year. So investigations take place, including on-site inspections, to make sure that they're being used properly. So there's a zero tolerance for abuse. So I think between the number the minister quoted on your show and the number on the website, investigations are underway to determine whether they will be blacklisted, whether they won't be able to use the program in the future. We're taking very serious steps, Evan, to make sure that the program isn't abused and that Canadians that could be available for those jobs aren't displaced. But at the root of the program, from lower skilled jobs right through to university professors, there's a whole variety of people that come in under this program, and we want to make sure that there's a moratorium for the food services temporarily to make sure that the reports of abuse aren't a trend, and it's a prudent step to make sure that the program runs properly.
You realize why there might be some skeptics there, because when the minister suspended the temporary foreign workers program for the food services industry, it came because Go Public's Kathy Tomlinson here at the CBC reported alleged abuses at places, some McDonald's, a Brothers, and then of course there was RBC. There was 3 cases only that CBC reported. That prompted an outcry and the minister to take action. And yet now we found out that the minister says there have been dozens and dozens. I guess the question is, the 3 that CBC reported made a huge difference. What about these other dozens and dozens that we haven't heard about? Are they in the food services? When did you know about them? How deep are these investigations going? Has anyone been on the blacklist? What's going on there?
Well, I think, Evan, it's important to note that the Service Canada website, if you go there, people can report suspicious programs where they think abuse might be taking place, and then those things are investigated. So that the amount of time it takes from the investigations through to employers being listed on the website, I can't answer for you, but there's an ability for people at those establishments, members of the public, to report. And now, through our changes last year, the program, there can be investigations and inspections to make sure that there aren't abuse of these programs. Because the intention, Evan, is to make sure that employment places are fully productive. So if they've had trouble hiring positions, whether low-skilled or skilled, that we can temporarily help them so that it actually helps employment in a broader sense in the area. But if there's abuse, there's zero tolerance, and I think the minister has shown that completely.
Okay, well, okay. I'm still not. I'm a little fuzzy on the dozens and dozens, but let me get Ginny Sims in here because I know the NDP plans to have an opposition motion tomorrow calling for a moratorium on low-skilled occupations and an urgent audit by the Auditor General. Can I get your reaction to Minister Kenney's comments and then your view on the program?
Well, the key thing is that we do have Canadians who are having their hours reduced. We've got Canadians who are being fired, and we've got Canadians who are not being hired. So there is a serious problem, and we've seen evidence of that on the media, and we get phone calls in our offices about this from many different outlets. In Victoria alone, there are over 26 outlets that are using temporary foreign workers.
Well, what do you say to employers who say they need them, Ginny? And there are people, they say, there are lots of employers in the food service and other industry that say we depend on temporary foreign workers. What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, the temporary foreign worker program was constructed to backfill, I would say, a skills shortage. Well, there is no skills shortage when you're looking at somebody doing an entry-level job in McDonald's. So how can that be temporary work?
Well, how do we know that? How do you know that if in certain areas they can't find the people to get to fulfill those jobs?
I heard the minister say today.
You were asked in the House today. You've requested, I think from Jason Kenney, said that you'd actually asked for a temporary foreign worker to come in. What's that about?
Well, first of all, no NDP MP has ever said that Canadian workers should be fired or not hired. Secondly, it's the government that gives out the LMOs. The LMOs is the permission letter employers need to go out and hire temporary workers. So once they've got that LMO and their processing is stuck in the actually processing of the permit, then people do make inquiries. But I want to get back to this idea that it's just limited to the fast food industry. Whether it's been the Royal Bank, whether it's been HD Mining, whether it's been welders up in the north, workers in the oil sands, the iron workers have been raising these issues with us, whether it's been pilots. I mean, we're looking at right across the board where we are hearing from Canadians, right. I'm available, and there is no way for Canadian to know, walking into an employer, whether the person working in there is a temporary foreign worker or whether they're a Canadian.
Well, how do you do? I mean, what do you want to label? Why should they know?
I'm not saying they should know, but what Canadians are anxious about is that jobs should go to those living in Canada first. Okay, and I'm not talking about Canadian citizens, but how do we know where the 300 or 400,000 temporary foreign workers are? And the other thing, and I want to make this very, very clear, it's not the fault of the workers who come in.
Okay, so
I think it's the fault of a government that has opened up the floodgates without having enforcement or regulations in place.
I want to get to Mr. I want to play this clip, though, just to be fair. Here's Jason Kenney responding to you because he said that you've tried to get applications for temporary foreign workers. Just to be fair, here's what Jason Kenney said today.
And I'll respond.
Now, Mr. Speaker, I received more applications, more requests from members of the New Democratic Caucus to facilitate the entry of temporary foreign workers than from any other caucus, Mr. Speaker, and I just find hypocrisy a wee bit difficult to take.
So just explain how you want some temporary for jobs to help some of your constituents, but not for others.
Yeah, we are not against the temporary foreign worker program in totality, but we think it's broken, it needs to be fixed, and in our casework, of course, we represent our constituents, but nowhere can we give out LMOs, nor do we go out and advocate for LMOs.
Roger Kushner, what has to happen here? I want, and react if you could to what Minister Kenney said, that he's aware of dozens and dozens of cases.
Let me go back at the risk of upsetting the host and yourself, Evan. Let me go back to something you said in your preamble, being that this is a problem that's arisen over the last couple of months. Not so. This is, this has been a problem. This program has started to show some of the warts on it. Even back 2 years ago, when Dianne Finlay made adjustments in the program and changes in the program that opened the floodgates, that allowed employers to pay 15% less to temporary foreign workers, that accelerated labor market opinions to get temporary foreign workers in the country sooner. So, when these decisions are made by the government in isolation, without the benefit of any consultation, without the benefit of having the people who are impacted by this sit around and be at the table and then sort of take action after you have a plan of action, this is what happens.
To be fair, they did fix some of those
the
wage
problems
rules.
that they made.
So what's your idea for the fix then? Now they have fixed some of those issues.
Listen, my suggestion for the fix is the same as it was this time last year, when I put forward a motion on behalf of the Liberal Party of Canada to engage Parliament to do the study that would be necessary, to bring the pertinent people, the experts in the field, come forward, present their testimony, and then make recommendations to the government on how to fix the problem, rather than in isolation.
Okay, so your solution, and just so I be fair, so your solution is a study. What about the current situation? What would you have done what Jason Kenney did and suspended the food services program?
When you do these things in isolation, you have unintended consequences. You have unintended outcomes. If you were able to put together some kind of logical process, and we've seen this time and time again with this government, Evan. In all fairness, they are often in error, but seldom in doubt, and this is how they've decided to govern.
Okay, I got less than a minute here. Mr. O'Toole, a lot of people just want to know, if there's dozens and dozens of other cases, has your government, on any of those cases, can you tell us what action you have taken? Have you, on those particular cases, has anyone been fined? Has anybody been put on the blacklist on those dozens and dozens of cases? And when will we find out more?
Evan, the action has been clear. There was a flurry of reports in a specific sector, food services. That led to the many investigations, and the minister put a moratorium in place to make sure that going forward, no new LMOs and no new temporary foreign workers.
But, sir, those were the results of the public reports. I'm talking about the internal reports. I'm trying to know if there's more going on under the hood, or do we have to figure it out first?
You've made a great case for why there's a moratorium, Evan. We're taking a look under the hood in this sector. We would not do the knee-jerk and, quite frankly, irresponsible approach of the other parties, which would be to throw out this program and put employers across the country in risk.
I don't think anybody's suggesting that.
They seem to take the point of view that temporary foreign workers are only okay if it's in their riding and they're lobbying the minister for them.
That's not true.
This is about running the program across the country in a way that's balanced, and if there's one sector that's out of balance, we're going to fix it because there's zero tolerance for abuse.
What has this government done about HD mines? We have Canadian miners who don't have jobs, and yet this year alone, again, we're hearing that 30 more miners are coming in. It's even when they know that a company has transgressed that they still carry on then and haven't done the kind of enforcement.
Since the cases last year,
What training
the LMO has been
started?
tightened. The labour market opinion has been tightened.
What training has
to make sure that it really only reflects areas where there's a need.
Okay, I got to leave it there, Mr. Kuzner. I thought you were going to jump in here.
Monday.
We'll let these guys battle it out.
All right. Listen, it's a passionate debate. I appreciate Aaron O'Toole, Ginny Sims, and Roger Kuzner always coming on. Thanks to the three of you.
Thank you.